Making a website responsive is a fairly simple task. It's nothing overwhelming. We have a simple process that we go through to make that happen for all of our websites. We're going to take you through that basic process, and then that way hopefully you can implement it too or make some tweaks to it however you want to. This is nothing earth-shattering. It's nothing that is going to revolutionize the web design world, but we have a simple process and we think it works quite well. We start by having our website at a full size, and then we right-click really anywhere and then click inspect, and we have this handy tool that comes up here. This is a part of Chrome, and you can get similar tools on any other browser that you have too. As we hover over these different sections, we can see that they are highlighted on the page so we know what we're looking at, and then we can go into whatever specific area we want. In this case, we're wanting to start here with this logo because we know it's going to be relevant here in a moment. As we scroll down, we see that everything is looking basically okay at this size. We drag this down. You might notice in the upper right-hand corner, there is a little notification of what screen size you're at. That's very helpful as we're going through this responsive process. Everything's looking okay. Typically, it's going to be okay all the way up until you get to this wrap here, because everything has already been designed to fit into that space. So we come in here and we see everything's good, and then eventually we start to have some trouble. Okay, we know this is not quite right where it is now, and so we want to go back and see, okay, where did it break down at? And we see, it was at 1023. It's commonplace to have things change at. 1024 is a size that we do see fairly regularly, and so anything under 1024, then we want it to be that it is responding in a different way. And so we see that it breaks down there, it's not working as it should, and so we are at 1024, and we want to know, how can we be sure that it works all the way? Well, it works at 1024, which is great. That means that we've gone a long ways and we've gotten a lot of our work done for us. As we scroll down here, we want to see, are there any other parts of this page that are not right? And we see this comes all the way to the edge and we don't want it to be that. So something's been set a little bit off in that area. But because this is already set up correctly, we're good to go. We move down to the menu, good to go there. Slideshow, good to go. Not quite as good to go here in this bottom area. Excuse me, there we go. So we click inspect and we see, okay, this is the home bottom widget area, and it's everything underneath the slider there. And so we want to know, why do we not have any padding there? Well, because we didn't set any padding there. And so right now it just says padding top 2%. We're going to change that over to, well, we don't really want to do a percentage on the top anyway. That can run into trouble sometimes. It's not that you can't do it, but you do want percentages on the side. And 2% is not an unreasonable amount. I'm going to close this out and see if it looks reasonable there. And we're looking okay. I think that can work like that. Now let's go back out and make sure that it looks good otherwise. Yeah, we're still good out here. And once we come into that size there, then it changes over. And that can work. And everything still fits in here okay. Nothing weird is happening. They all balance out on their height basically okay. And so we're okay at that 1024 mark right now. Once we get down under that 1024 mark, then we have some things that change. And we know that they are going to need to be adjusted to be able to work correctly. So we don't want to be looking, though, at the 1023, 1024 line here. We want to look at underneath there. What's the next place after that? And so then we search for where we're at, and we see, you know what? We didn't even make any changes at 1180, so that one's gone. At 1023, then we do need to make changes. What comes after that? After 1023, the next one we have is 860. So we want to have this go down to 860, or rather 861. And now we're going to pop this out of here because now it's getting kind of crowded. We'll move this off to the side. We don't need quite all that, I don't think. There we go. Okay, so header, definitely not working. Menu, works for now. Slideshow, that works. Why choose us? Well, it kind of works. We have big gaps here that we need to fix, but it's basically working, okay? Because of the screen size we're looking at, we're probably going to need to completely rearrange these things here. So I think what we're going to do is just stack them one on top of another. I mean, we could make the font size small enough to make it work, but that's unlikely that it's going to really be effective. So then we take our image here, and we know that we are going to want this to be centered at the top. We're going to take the widget right here, and we're going to copy the name for it. Clicked on the wrong button. I have a microphone in my eyes. Alright, let's just get rid of all this. Who needs that? That messes everything up. It might be that it turns out that we're not even in as bad a shape as what we think we are. Oh, there we go. Now see, that's much closer. Much, much closer. If we just didn't have that LLC on there, we could make do with it right now. I hate the LLC on things, but I don't know yet whether this business owner is going to be wanting that LLC on there or not. It's certainly not required, in spite of what some people might tell you. Okay, let's fix this up, though. We know that we want to be able to fit that in there. You know, I think we can get it in there. I didn't think we were going to be able to, but I'm beginning to change my mind. You've got to be willing to change your mind in these scenarios and do whatever works best for the project. We need to add a .widget title on there. Okay, now at what point can we make this work? Let's find out. There that is. And if you use your up and down arrows, then they can just go up one at a time. You can go to 33 pixels. But then we have a height issue going on here that's a little bit weird, don't we? So we're going to need to make some other adjustments. Let's say this over here is looking a little large, wouldn't you? I don't know if you will, because you're not going to answer me in a way that I can hear. But let's say we are. Let's say we are. We're going to copy that right there. And now we are going to go back down to 1023. But we don't want it to be just everything in there that's changing. And so we're just going to type in our specific widget. So that way, we're not going to be getting in the way, or we're not going to be changing anything else, rather. Sorry about that. My process is a little different when I have to have it all on one screen. And that was backwards, wasn't it? There we go. Okay, so now we've got that size down a little bit. We're getting closer to what we want. We still have that gap going on there. What else do we need to change? We probably have a little bit more space than is needed there, and that could also go down a little bit in size. So we look at that. It's the widget title, and we know which one it's for because we were just dealing with this. We're just going to take this. This is not the right widget title right here, but it is very similar, and all we need to do now is swap that out for a 2 for the second widget on there. And that's white right now, but it's only because it's selected. And then we want to see about our margin bottom. It seems a little off, don't you think? That's not what it is. Maybe it's padding. We'll take a look here in a moment. Nope, not either one of those. Well, let's find out. Oh, there we go. It was that. It just wasn't as much as I thought it was going to be. Now we've got it in there. Everything fits in there. Now what you want to do at this point too, though, is one more thing. We have this border around here. It doesn't really make sense anymore. We want that border to be gone. That's over the maybe the entire site header. Is that what it is? Yeah, it's over the site header. So then just go to this place here. We try to keep these roughly in order so that it's easy to find them in the future. And we'll say border, none. Reach Pro Home. Something, anything. Oh, it's a background. Never mind, it's not a border. We did it as a background. No wonder it's off. Okay. So then that must be a padding issue, huh? Something? Ah, there we go. It's in the wrap. My mistake. That's what happens when you're not the one who's been building a website, then it takes longer to remember what's what. And then now we will say border none. There we go. Now that looks better. Now let's go back out and make sure that this looks good all the way up until there. It looks good enough. Good enough. Everything's okay down here. We're good. And now we get down to this point, and we know that we're going to need to make some changes. And we would just keep on going with this whole process, and every step along the way. Now this doesn't work, and so eventually we're going to have to make it stacked one on top of the other. When we get to that point that we need to make it stacked one on top of the other, then what we're going to be doing is taking the widget 1, and we're going to be changing it over to being a full width item. Let's see, let's do it here. And I don't know if that's where it would actually end up being 100% for sure, but that's where we are going to do it. And now we have that 100% over. Still going to need to rearrange the elements within it, and then we'll need to remove the border here, several other steps, but as we go down we will gradually have it be fully mobile responsive, just like what we want it to be. We need to make some changes to these probably too to make sure that they are working right. When we get down here, we've got to remove some padding. It's going to be a process, but little by little, the whole thing will be able to be resolved, and it will all make sense, and it will be beautiful by the time we're all done. And it's still not where we want it to be yet. It's closer than it was. We keep on going. I'd say on a site like this, it should normally take, when you're not speaking into a microphone as you're doing it, it should take maybe a half hour to 1 hour to be able to complete the process on a home page like this, and you should be able to come out with a good result. Now, a couple of quick tips that we didn't mention along the way. So you're dealing with all these things. What happens if in the process you accidentally click on this button and lose all that CSS you've been doing over there? Well, if you go back, then it's all changed back to the way that it was before, which is not the way that we want it to be, and that's a problem. So this is how you can get around that. Two different things you can do. One, you can constantly be selecting all, copying, going into your cPanel, and then you can paste it in there to your style.css file or do it through HTTP, that sort of idea. Another thing you can do, though, is you can, from over here, where this style.css file is, that's this one here, those are the same thing, and then you can right-click and then say Save As. And then you can have it go wherever you want. We're going to put it in downloads for this moment, and it's saved there. From now on, I click Save, and it automatically goes there, and then I can just keep on working knowing that it has been saved and I won't lose all that work that I've done. Now, right now I did lose that work because it's not my work to do. I was just messing around. But then you want to be safe. You want to make sure you keep track of those things and don't lose it. It's very frustrating, and it will happen to you if you don't take those proper precautions. So that's the basic idea. We'd love to help anybody out that ever has any questions. Feel free to contact us, or even better, we can just build you a website and we will make it beautiful. And in all likelihood, it'll be something that's a little bit fancier, a little bit more beautiful than what this one is. But we will build to whatever your specifications are, whatever it is that you need, and we will help you out. Or if you're just new to the game and need some pointers, some advice, we're happy to give it. And we won't view it as competition. We'll view it as helping out the overall cause of having beautiful web design in this world.